So I would like to start my speech off with a quote. In an interview with Huffington Post, Taylor Swift says, "Relationships are like traffic lights, and I just have this theory that I can only exist in a relationship if it's green light." Now, given Taylor Swift's dating history, obviously she hasn't experienced many of these green lights. While I myself am a Taylor Swift fan, I own copies of all 5 of her albums. I don't always necessarily agree with her dating choices, but I do agree with her outcomes, which is her songs. So today I would like to reveal the details of Taylor Swift's love life, especially how it affects her musical career. So in this speech, I will divulge into the details of her love life and explain how it mainly produces 3 outcomes toward her career. It produces the outcomes of songs regarding love and heartbreak, negative media attention, and hit albums and chart-topping songs. Now, Taylor Swift's long list of ex-lovers from 2008 to 2012 include these 7 men. Almost all of these ex-boyfriends have songs written about them. I have included these men from 2008 because this is her first high-profile relationship. Joe Jonas is the first famous person she dates, and then she goes on to date other celebrities such as Lucas Till and Taylor Lautner in 2009, and also John Mayer, Jake Gyllenhaal in 2010, 2011, and also Connor Kennedy and Harry Styles in 2012. Now, if this list seems a little short to you, that's because I didn't include boyfriends before 2008 because they weren't famous. And I didn't include people that were romantically linked to her, such as Eddie Redmayne, Corey Monteith, Zac Efron, because they were never in confirmed relationships. Now you may ask yourself, how do I know that these songs that she writes about love and heartbreak are about these men? Well, the answer lies within her albums, and more specifically her lyric book. In her Speak Now album, Taylor Swift literally writes in one of her Dear Fan letters in the lyric book, she writes, "To all the boys who inspired this album, you should have known." This is a direct indication that her songs are about these ex-boyfriends and their relationships. Now also, according to Billboard, Taylor Swift leaves secret messages sprinkled into her lyric books. She capitalizes certain letters to spell out a certain word or phrase, and these words or phrases are the inspirations for her songs. So for example, in Back to December, she leaves the hidden message, Tay, as indicated by the circles with the red. So those are letters, and Tay is a short form for Taylor, it's a nickname, and also with lyrics in this song such as Tan Skin and Sweet Smile. There's obviously no doubt that this song is about Taylor Lautner, the tannest guy that Taylor Swift dated. So another example of these hidden messages are in Everything Has Changed. This hidden message was Hyannisport. Hyannisport is a place in southeastern Massachusetts, on the south end of Cape Cod. It's also where Connor Kennedy resides. It's where the Kennedy compound is. So with that information, this song is obviously about Connor Kennedy. Now, this hidden message, Maple Lattes, it's not as obvious as the first 2. It's certainly not as direct and straightforward. But according to Billboard, if you Google the phrase Maple Lattes, and I have done this, the first images are paparazzi shots of Jake Gyllenhaal and Taylor Swift on a walk, with Taylor Swift carrying some sort of coffee beverage. That picture is actually included in my timeline, if you noticed. And because there's so much media related to that image, it was on the cover of People magazine while they were dated. It was the first shot of them when they confirmed their relationship. It's pretty speculated that this song, All Too Well, is about Jake Gyllenhaal. So because Taylor Swift writes these songs about these men, her relationships, she gets a lot of negative media attention. Examples of negative media attention come from Michael J. Fox when he says, according to Huffington Post, he would not like Taylor Swift to date his son. But if she did, he would probably only know because she wrote a song about him. So this kind of confirms that a lot of fellow celebrities, a lot of media outlets, they know of Taylor Swift's game and they kind of poke fun at her. Another person that pokes fun at Taylor Swift is Tina Fey at the 2013 Golden Globe Awards. If you remember this, she says, "You know what, Taylor Swift? You stay away from Michael J. Fox's son." So this kind of just confirms that everybody knows that she writes songs about these men, and everybody doesn't really approve of it. They find it humorous, and they find her love life humorous as well. But Taylor Swift, despite this negative media attention, she has found a lot of success in writing about her ex-boyfriends. She has had at least 5 Billboard chart toppers, in which they are Blank Space Style, I Knew Your Trouble, Red, and Begin Again. If you recognize those songs, it's probably because they play on the radio all the time. Now, also, according to this chart, which I got from Bloomberg Business, Taylor Swift is one of the few artists who is able to sell more than 1 million copies of her albums 3 times in a row. Speak Now, Red, and 1989 are her most current albums, and they all sold more than 1 million copies in their debut week. Also, according to Bloomberg Business, Fearless and Speak Now sold a total of 12 million copies only in the US. That's a large number. Also, according to this source, as you can see on the chart, 1989 sold a number of 1.287 million copies in its debut week. That was not its only success. Although 1989 was only put out for sale in October, it went on to sell the most albums in 2014. It beat out Frozen, the Frozen soundtrack, which is the #1 album for most of the year until the very last week, where 1989 blew it out of the water in the last week of album sales. Now, in my speech, I've covered a lot of things that occur because of Taylor Swift's ex-relationships and how it greatly affects her career. I covered how her secret messages in her album point to her various relationships and how they connect to her songs, through providing you with hints such as maple lattes to show that All Too Well is indeed about Jake Gyllenhaal. I also provided examples of celebrities that diss Taylor Swift, such as Michael J. Fox and Tina Fey, who disapprove of her dating habits and who think that her love life is very humorous. And I've also shown you how many albums she sold in her debut weeks, and that she has sold the most albums in 2014. So it's fairly obvious that her success is hugely due to her failed relationships. Now, because I started this speech with a quote, I would like to end it with a quote as well. In an interview with Vanity Fair for their cover story, Taylor Swift admits that she says this. She says, "I used to think it was important to find a boyfriend, but I don't feel that it is now." So this confirms her whole, I'm going to stick with my girls and be single for a while and just have fun with my friends. But if this continues, what will happen to her musical career? Will she still write songs about heartbreak? And if she doesn't write songs of love and heartbreak about ex-boyfriends, will her musical career continue to thrive, or is this her highest point? Thank you.
I googled maple lattes, and the first thing that came up was Taylor Swift.
Yes.
That was great.
All right, Hart, share with us your thoughts about the speech, please.
Wow. I really enjoyed that. I'm not a fan of Taylor Swift, but like that information was pretty great. I think that your thesis was really strong. It was really solid and to the point. Your conclusion wrapped it all up. Your citations were, well, you had a variety. I really enjoyed how you talked about the secret messages. I'm going to go home and look at that now. I thought it was really humorous. You were very confident up there. I don't know what you're freaking out about. You're good. I like how you're talking about her music is just about her relationships. Like, if she didn't have relationships, what would she talk about? What would she sing about? And that was a really good point you brought up. And so overall, I think you did really good.
All right, well, I think you've got kind of a cute introduction to get our attention. You've got a clear purpose statement. There's a very solid preview of what the structure is going to be, so it turns out to be easy to follow. I think it might give us a little bit more justification to listen about Taylor Swift's love life. It's kind of entertaining and pop culture-ish, so I know that people are going to be interested in those sorts of things. But if you were a casual listener, you might be saying, well, why does this matter? I think there is something to be said for the notion that social media, that pop culture are influencing artists, and artists are influencing pop culture, so maybe there's a way that you could tie that in. I thought that there was good information in the speech. I'm not exactly sure where it all came from. I was a little uncertain about the source citations. The lyrics, was it lyric sheets that you were looking at? You mentioned the books, the things that she's written. I wasn't clear on what those were, the ones with the secret messages in them. So it wasn't clear to me whether that's like the lyrics for the song and they made one of the letters in the lyric bigger, or whether this is some commentary that she's written about the songs that she's written. I don't know where those came from, and I don't know how they were discovered. I'm not saying that they aren't true, but the world's full of people who want to see Jesus in their toast. I think there needs to be something a little bit more. The example of maple lattes, I thought that was kind of a fun way of illustrating that there really seems to be something there. What I thought might be missing would be some of the references to the songs. In other words, what do they say in the songs about those particular people? So we know that this song is about this particular guy. So is it a positive thing? He's a sweetheart, a wonderful human being. I'm so sorry that we aren't together anymore. Or is it that he's a loser? He's a lousy lover. He's cheated on me. He's a rat bastard. How do you get that from the lyrics? I don't know that we get any sense of why those songs are about those particular people, except that there's a vague connection between the color of their skin or their initials or some other kind of weird connection that's going on because of where they happen to have been together. Again, I'm not saying that there isn't a link. I'm just saying, why is that important? Why does it matter what people are saying about those kinds of things? My only knowledge of all of this is exactly the stuff that you mentioned, the media exposure that gets focused on it. And the only example you had on that was the comment that Michael J. Fox made, and then the joke that Tina Fey made about the joke. I'm sure there's more to it than that, and I think that could be expanded a little bit. I like the little timeline that you had. I thought that worked pretty well. I thought you highlighted the secret clues pretty effectively, and you integrated it very well. You do a very nice job delivering the speech. You're very somebody said you were nervous. I didn't see any nervousness at all. It seemed to me like you've got a subject that you're excited to talk about. You're enthusiastic in talking about it. You go through it like you know what the heck you're talking about. That's really the way we want people to be speaking. So that was a good job. Thank you.